Mr. Speaker, today is an exciting day for this Congress and for our country, because today we will vote on overdue legislation for American families. And we have a president who will sign the bill, a president who is committed to providing strong protections for American families. The enactment of this bill would truly put people first. We all know that this bill is about families. It is also about making our workforce more competitive by lifting the morale of our workers. It's about ending gridlock, because this legislation is a true compromise. This legislation is what the platform President Clinton campaigned on is all about, weighing the concerns and needs of businesses with those of individual workers and their families, distributing the burden evenly for a healthy, fit economy and workforce. It is about compromise, and, Mr. Speaker, it is the very least we should do for American workers.
That was 1993, and the House was about to vote on the Family Medical Leave Act, which gave 12 weeks of unpaid leave to qualifying workers.
That was created to protect families, and actually, if you really think about it, it's protecting not just the families, but it's also protecting the businesses. It's expensive to hire a person, train them in, and then have them leave because of some family emergency. And then you have to replace that person, and you're just continuing that cycle of having to rehire, retrain, and put in that investment into a new employee. So it was put in place to protect families and businesses.
That was a good start in family leave. Now, 22 years later, we need to give America's workers another benefit.
But being there when they're so little is very important in those first months.
The U.S. currently has no federal paid leave. The only other developed nation that doesn't have federal paid leave is Papua New Guinea.
And I think it's really embarrassing to hear that. I didn't realize that was the only other country, and the United States wants to be and promotes itself as a leader in so many areas, and that we are so behind in this area and have put such a little value on what parents need and what families need is really sad. So I definitely hope that's an area that gets more attention.
America sells itself as a leading country, yet we don't have what every other leading country has, paid family leave.
Well, I don't know much about Papua New Guinea, except for maybe there might be a Survivor show hosted there, and it seems rather primitive. So it's that we would be in that same boat as a primitive type company.
We should be disappointed, yeah. We should be embarrassed by that. We compare ourselves to all of these other countries across the world in everything else, in business, in education, in the way, infant mortality, and everything across the board. But when it comes to consumer protection, when it comes to protecting the little guy, when it comes to family leave and education, then we don't necessarily want to be compared to anybody. So yeah, we should be embarrassed and disappointed by that.
Currently, 3 states have paid family leave: California, New Jersey, and Rhode Island. California's is funded through a small payroll tax under their state disability fund.
Yeah, I think there's, if they're talking about an actual tax and not something that's masked and being called a tax, then yeah, I think both of those sides are always scared of that. But, politics is full of misinformation, so it's hard to tell whether there's actually a concern there or not. But yeah, politicians and citizens alike, run from new taxes like the plague. So.
Well, I think you'd hear people that would complain, nobody likes their taxes raised, or I guess some people do, but not very many, don't like to see their taxes go up. But the problem is, if it's in the IRS code, you're going to have to pay the taxes, or else you're going to have to deal with the IRS, and then you worry about civil penalties or whatever. They come in and freeze your bank accounts. So I think people would generally pay the tax because they know the consequences if they don't. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to get fined. Their bank accounts are going to get frozen. Assets are going to be frozen. So I think for the most part, people are going to pay them. They're going to complain about them, but I think they would pay them.
Many people want paid family leave regulated across businesses, but some don't want it regulated by the government at all.
I don't think so. Not that I'm not against it, but I have a difficult time with any federal mandates. I am an entrepreneur and free enterprise, and I feel that businesses should have the right to be able to determine where they put their dollars for the fringe benefits they offer their employees.
It really depends on the policy, but I think if it's a good policy, like, you know, obviously the FMLA is very important to let people care for their loved ones, and especially those in the military that have been injured. But, you know, obviously you can get carried away with that stuff too, and have the federal government shoving all these programs down our throats. So I think generally it's probably better to be left to the private businesses.
In August, Netflix announced 1 year of paid leave for parents. Microsoft announced 20 weeks for moms, and Adobe also announced 26 for moms. In August, within a week, 3 leading tech companies had implemented new paid leave policy.
I think it's mainly because the benefits that you offer to your employees are the thing that makes you different from that of your potential competition, and so promoting that as something that they do allows them to appear more friendly to the employees that they have.
Every parent needs a different amount of time off from work, but there's a common amount that everyone agrees on.
I can definitely see it being a hardship for business owners to have an employee that would be out for 12 weeks. And so, I mean, I'm just speaking from the experience of the 6 weeks that I was out with our other 2 kids. And I would say 6 to 8 weeks would be the minimum, and then companies could definitely move to that 12-week, which, I mean, it would have been great to be home for 12 weeks. But some parents are ready to come back after 8 weeks, but to have that option to have 12 weeks would be great.
I would love to see at least 6 weeks. I know there are a lot of countries that do months of paid leave, and that I think is really a huge benefit. But to start with, I think 6 weeks would be great.
And I think it needs to be, just fair. Like, why would a natural birth constitute 6 weeks and an adoptive would only be 3 weeks, like in our district? You know, I understand they're taking into account the mother healing from the process, but it's more about the mother and child bonding in that adoptive process, and so that would be so important.
I think it's very valuable when both men and women can have the same amount of paid leave, and then parents can have that time all together as a family. Her mom can take time, and then dad can take time and extend the time the baby gets to be home with mom and dad before you do a daycare and nanny or whatever comes next. I think it's just giving both mom and dad the option to do what's best for them is important.
We need to remind employees that the leave is important and they need to take it.
I have a number of employees that each year I have to say, you need to leave. You need to get out of here for a while because you got extra time. I'm paying you for it. You need to take time off.
The paid leave would most likely be funded under a small payroll tax under the state disability fund, which could possibly raise taxes.
I think it takes a bold politician to be able to say this is worth raising taxes, and I believe in this even if it does mean, talking about increasing taxes, which we don't want to do. It's hard to put into words, I think, how very important that is. First of all, you just need that time off to rest, but it's also the having a baby changes everything, and a baby needs your care 24 hours a day, and that you're able to do that and focus solely on this new baby is important, and it gives you a chance to take care of the baby and take care of yourself without having to worry about your job as well, and that you're able to be paid while you do that so you don't have the financial stress is huge.
In a 2014 White House report titled The Economics of Paid and Unpaid Leave, it reported that only 50% of people that make less than $28,000 a year have access to paid leave. These are the people that need it most.
I think a lot of the pressure that why employees don't take the time that they really should in order to make either their new or current families important is because of the financial burden that puts on your family. It's kind of hard to take time off in order to take care of a new one if you don't have any money coming in to pay the bills.
If you leave your newborn at a daycare, the parent can't stop thinking about it and their work suffers.
Productivity is deeply affected. Absolutely.
Yeah, in a company where a mom could maybe adjust her hours and, if the baby's sleeping at night and do that, that would definitely be a different story. But in education, we have bells that tell us when we need to be here.
With this strategy, you can still do part of your work.
Some economies in some states, a lot of people can do those jobs, and then other ones that are really specialized, it takes training and education and experience to come in and be able to do it.
Now, not everyone can do their work at home, so some places like the Washington Department of Health have implemented infant at work policies.
I think most people will be supportive of that. I mean, again, it depends on what kind of office are we talking about. You know, excuse me, I think it would be practical with some jobs, and with other jobs it might be impractical. You know, just really depending on what kind of job it is. But I think generally speaking, people would be supportive. Certainly those people with kids would be supportive. You know, maybe single people with no kids wouldn't be as supportive. And there certainly would be some disruptions in the workplace. I mean, if you're going to bring a baby in, the baby's going to be crying, you know, at times, or just laughing, whatever. I mean, but there's going to be some disruptions in the workplace. But I think mostly people that have had kids or that aspire to have kids, I think would be supportive of it. There are going to be some workplace interruptions.
Democrats mostly support paid leave, and Republicans mostly oppose it. This isn't about parties, though. This is about families.
That's where building coalitions and building relationships with people across the aisle is incredibly important. And being able to have those conversations and knowing that you've built that relationship so that you can talk to them in a trustworthy, friendly way and have a good conversation about it instead of it always being adversarial. I think that's part of what we've lost at the federal level, is that freedom to have a conversation and to talk across the aisle. It's become so us versus them that we don't even talk to each other anymore. And nothing happens. Nothing comes of that. We don't move forward when we have that situation. And if we can't get past that, we're going to stick in this rut, and it's just going to get deeper and deeper.
We need to come together as a nation, because we are one big family.